Hi, everyone. Welcome to Curated by Becta's Meal Kit number 107 for June 30th to July 2nd. Thanks so much for ordering this week, and thanks for letting us be a part of your special celebration at home. Happy Canada Day to you all as well. Hope it's going to be a great weekend for us all. Why don't we go ahead and get started because we've got a terrific menu tonight. So I've got a cast iron pan going on here, and I'm preheating it medium high. We're going to use 1 tablespoon per person of neutral oil, in my case grapeseed oil, but you can use vegetable oil or canola oil as well. And once the pan is nice and hot, we're going to sear our beef short rib. And this has already been smoked and spiced. So you don't need to add any pepper, but I do want you to add some salt. And we're going to sear it on 2 sides. If you're really fancy, you can sear it on all sides. If you really like that nice crunch, then that is totally up to you. So keep that in mind. The way to tell if a pan is hot enough, you just take a little water on your hand and put it into the oil. And if it does that, then it means you're good to go. And we're going to do about 90 seconds per side if you're doing 2 sides. If you're going to do all 6 sides, well, it's up to you. I would just maybe put less time in the oven if you're going to cook it more on the stovetop. But that'll sear up very nicely. That's the longest part of this meal prep is really the beef going in there. It doesn't need to rest tonight, which is great, but it's going to be 90 seconds on each side and then 15 minutes in the oven at 425 degrees or 400 if you're like me with a convection oven. So just keeping that in mind, I might have to edit this video out to remove some of that time because the rest of it shouldn't really take all that long. I've got another pan, which I'm going to just warm up when it goes there. We've got our grits on low. You don't have to add anything. There's all kinds of butter and cream in there and salt and pepper, but you're just going to give that a stir every once in a while for these beautiful grits. And then our sauce diab, which I really just need very lightly warmed up because it's terrific. It's gelatinous, so you're going to need to scoop it out, and that is from all of the beautiful bone marrow that we make the sauce with. All right, that one side is nice and seared. Let's toss this over. I'm going to do 2 sides and then throw it in the oven for that time. While we're waiting, I apologize. This is actually, other than cutting meat, the chef and I were talking today, this is probably the only knife work that you're ever going to have to do for these. We've got this beautiful fresh focaccia, and in order to make croutons with it, we don't want them all dried out crunchy croutons. We want them like gooey, soft croutons. So we're going to have you do a little work. So if yours are about as thick as mine, we want about 1 inch square. You can cut it in half and then just square them off like this. If we send them for you already cut, they're not going to be fresh and they're going to be much more crispy than we want. And we're going to take those and throw them in a bowl. But first, I am going to throw this guy in the oven. Hey Google, set a timer for 15 minutes. Okay, then I can start warming up my pan. I'm going to turn down the heat a little bit. Sauce diab, I might even turn off because it's already melted and probably ready to go. All right, let's get back to the crouton, shall we? So again, if yours are the same thickness as mine, you want to get about 1 inch there and cut them in to 1 inch squares. It's probably more than we need here, but they are lovely. I'm just going to eat a little bit of this because I love Chef Rich's focaccia. It is so good. It's like the perfect amount of olive oil and salt and breadiness. Make sure they're all separated, that your knife went all the way through. That was good. Oh yeah, so we need a sheet pan with parchment paper, which I forgot. I forgot to prepare. Busy day today. parchment. Okay. Now we've got some beautiful olive oil from the restaurant that came with this. You're going to use 1/3 of this for the croutons and save the other 2/3 for the salad. If you guys like a little more, feel free to grab some from your pantry. Just make sure to use the good stuff. And we're going to throw some salt and pepper in there. And I'll get my trusty spoon. I love this guy. And give that a good stir so that the olive oil gets mixed around nicely. And this is going to go in the oven for roughly 6 minutes because you want it a little bit crunchy on the outside and, as the chef said, squishy on the inside. Those are the best kind of croutons. All right. And get all of the bread out of your bowl because you're going to reuse that bowl so we don't have to wash more bowls for your salad. And let's separate them nicely so they're not on top of each other so they can get a nice crispiness. Hey Google, set another timer for 6 minutes. Perfect. Okay. So let me tell you about this wine because I want to have a sip. This is a favorite of ours and we've used it quite a few times recently, so I promise we're going to switch it up, but it works so beautifully with this panzanella salad. It is a Prosecco from one of the great producers in Italy, in the DOC of Prosecco, in the Veneto region, and it's Giusti, and I don't know, not much to say about it, except it's beautiful and bubbly and delicious, aromatic. It's got sort of some white peach qualities and some floral notes, and I'm a huge fan. By the way, I suggest putting it in a wine glass versus a champagne flute because you get a lot more of the aromatics. But if you guys like ceremony, by all means, throw it in a champagne flute. Put it in a coupe if you like. All right, now let's start on the salad. So panzanella salad. We've got our beautiful little Lebanese cucumbers and our cherry tomatoes. Let me make sure that I'm doing this right. Tomatoes, onions, cucumbers with the olive oil. Next to this guy. Get it all in there. And if you like it a little juicier, feel free to add a little bit more olive oil. But this should be enough. And then salt and pepper, of course. Lovely. There I go over here. And if you want to do this while the croutons are going, it's probably a good thing. The salt will start to break down the vegetables a little bit and release some of their juices so that they're even juicier. Now, when the focaccia comes out, it's going to go in there warm, and then we're going to plate in a bowl or on a plate. I got some plates out, but you know what? Chef says put it in a bowl. Let's mix it up tonight. I got some really nice bowls for this. Sorry about coming off camera. I know that's a no-no in the filming world, but kind of making this thing up as we go along. And then once it's in the bowl, we are going to garnish it with the black olives, the crumbled feta, and the mint. Or basil, excuse me, mint. All right, so this pan is starting to get warm. We want to get it to medium-high heat. And I don't want to get ahead too much because I also want to make sure that the green beans and the kale come out at the right time. So I'm just going to hold off for a second and just keep letting the pan warm up a little bit. Not too much. Make sure to give your sauce diab and the grits a little stir. So why don't I go ahead and plate the dessert while we're waiting? So you're bringing everything to room temperature. And then we've got salted dulce de leche tart with some macerated strawberries and Earl Grey creme anglaise. Yes. Okay, I think I got one extra ingredient there. We'll make sure we don't send that along. I'm going to put the creme anglaise on the bottom because these bowls look really nice with that. And then the tart just goes in. And we've got the macerated strawberries going on top. Chocolate and strawberries together. It's pretty much as good as it gets for dessert in my mind. There we go. Voila. Super easy. And I've got some caramel for my son later on because he enjoys that. I think they just packed the wrong thing. All right. Hey, Google, how much time is left on the timers? Perfect. So I'm going to plate up the salad. Then I'm going to start on the veg. Then I might cut it. And but we can just talk about stuff. And feel free to forward along if you want. Yeah, so the croutons will be out soon. So why don't we go ahead and work on the veg. So I've got, because there were 2 people I'm cooking for, it's actually 3, but there are 2. So half a cup of water, because it's a 1/4 cup per person. And we're going to throw in butter, unsalted, and it's 1 tablespoon per person. So in that, we're going to melt it down. Then we're going to throw the green beans in. And we're going to bring it to a boil. So once the butter melts and the stuff boils, then we're going to season the liquid with salt and pepper and then add the green beans to cook for 3 minutes. Give that a little stir. Move it along. Hey, Google, off. Our croutons are there. Now let's see if they are crispy on the outside and squishy on the inside. Yeah, that is perfect. This timing actually might work out very well. Okay, so our butter is basically melted and the water is in there. So we're going to give it some salt and pepper. And then take the green beans and throw them in there. And I can sort of imagine what 3 minutes is with these things. And that's when we're going to add the kale. There might be the random green bean mixed in with your kale, so make sure to go through and get them all. Lovely. Okay, 3 minutes. I can look right there too. Okay, so let's toss up this beautiful panzanella salad. And again, you've already seasoned the focaccia and I might just do this, mix it up a little better. And if there's the occasional bread crouton that comes out, then I might just have to eat it. All right, lovely. This is one good looking salad. I'm going to try to get all of the different colors in there as well. Put in the center. Just going to give the green beans a little toss. Make sure they're all nice. And black olives. Sprinkle them around. I didn't even talk to you about the red wine. I'm going to do that when I'm running out of time. Okay. And then our feta. I want you to be able to see all the beautiful colors and stuff underneath, so I might hold off on some of the feta and just garnish it more at the end. And then, of course, our fresh basil. There will be small leaves, and then there will be bigger leaves. I recommend ripping the bigger leaves. If we rip them, then they're going to be brown by the time they get to you, so we don't want to do that. My wife loves the basil, so I bet you we're going to borrow some from our basil plant over there to garnish extra for her plate. Lovely. Okay, we're definitely at 3 minutes with the green beans. So toss the kale in, give the grits a little stir. I think this timing is going to work out just nice. Give that a little stir. I think I've got some tongs around here that are meant for this kind of non-stick pan. And get the kale all nice and garnished in there. You have seasoned things already, but feel free to add a little more seasoning because the kale is bitter. So if you want to add a little more salt, that is not a bad thing. Okay, and now I'm going to make sure that the sauce diab is nice and warmed up. That's funny. I might have to use a barbecue lighter today. There we go. Nice on low. Give it a stir. Oh yeah, let me show you the panzanella salad that you guys are going to be enjoying soon with the lovely focaccia croutons and the fresh basil, mint, and black olives. Get our main course ready. Give this a little stir. Oh yeah, now I'm allowed to talk to you about the red wine. This is a Lobita Tempranillo from Spain. It was pretty funny. I think it was last week. I had to record the meal kit video at like 7:30 in the morning because of just the timing of my whole week and the chef being off one day. And so anyway, it was just so funny. It was perfect because I was tasting the wine and it was corked. And so I was like, oh no, this is perfect because I wasn't going to drink it anyway. So it worked out really well. So we're going to plate the grits first, followed by the green beans and kale, and we're going to top with the beef. We're going to dollop some scape relish, which is also on here, and then the jus on top. Okay, kale, it's almost wilted. Green beans looking good. Sauce, lovely. And so yes, so this Lobita Tempranillo. Let me read a little bit of what Connor says about it. Produced from their estate, organically grown grapes, night harvested and cold macerated before fermenting. Deep cherry color with a violet shade, red bouquet. Hey Google, off. Well, then that worked out just fine. There's our short rib. We can turn everything off, off, and let's plate the sucker up. So the grits will go down first. If you haven't had great hominy grits, you're in for a treat. All right, next up, our kale and green beans. You can separate it, you can do it just together in a big pile, whatever you like. I'm really excited about this dinner. We've got a new big night in coming up Starting next week, we took a little pause on the Big Night In. By the way, there's a little bit of the butter sauce there. Feel free to throw that down. Feel free to put it on the grits too if you like. All right. Now I'm not going to burn my hand. Lovely looking short ribs. Yeah, the caramelized side is going to be the side on the bottom a little more, so make sure to put that on top. Oh yes, so pickled garlic scapes, in case you didn't know what they were, when garlic sprouts, this big long scape part goes up. You can do one of two things: pour it back into the soil and it will create more garlic, or you can cut it off and pickle it, and it's got this amazing quality to it. It's sort of garlic meets fresh herbs, and when you pickle it, the garlic quality is not quite so spicy because it is quite pungent on its own. There we go. And put a little of the pickling liquid there. And the chef said to me today when I said, do you pour the sauce just right over top? He said, yep. Garlic scape relish and sauce d'Ab is a great combo. So right over top and around. And you can put it on the grits too, because my son, not a huge fan of the grits, and I bet you the sauce d'Ab will make him a fan. Clean up the plate, and away we go. We have our lovely spiced and smoked beef short rib with the hominy grits, green beans, kale, and the pickled garlic scape relish. Thanks again for ordering this week, and thanks for letting us be a part of your special celebration at home. Happy Canada Day weekend. Enjoy it, and I hope we get to cook and curate for you again really soon.